Newstalk ZB.
23 minutes away from 8. It's Monday morning. The Prime Minister's in the studio. Good to see you.
Good to see you too, Michael.
Should Razor get sacked?
If that's an opening question. As a Crusaders supporter, he shouldn't. Give him more time.
See, this is the heat I'm getting on the text this morning.
But I am, the fearsome winning All Black team is sort of a problem, isn't it?
Is it?
Well, I mean, we've lost to a few teams that we wouldn't have lost to in the past, and
so do you want to reinstate that
fear sort of.
I'm just asking you as a leader under pressure.
No. You got to give him more time. Yep.
Okay. The polls. I don't want to spend long on the polls because I know your views on polls, but we got a poll out this morning. The Herald are running a poll this morning saying it's 39 apiece on CGT. We got a poll last week saying it was 56 in favour of CGT. Do you have any read on CGT and whether it's a popular policy and you'll have to fight it or not?
Look, I get why people think it's going to be popular, but I can just tell you it's just going to drive more spending, more borrowing, more taxing. And that's what these guys are doing yet again. I mean, you heard Hipkins say he wants to lift the inflation target. He said that he wants to borrow more money, and now he wants to raise more tax. This is kind of perverse because they did that future fund policy where they lose $700 million worth of dividends that fund health and education. The money raised here is to give people like you, me and Hipkins free GP visits, yet they won't support extending prescriptions out to 12 months, which actually saves real visits to doctors. So, it just doesn't make sense to me. And it's actually the last thing this country needs is to tax and it's a capital gains tax on business. They'll say it's not, but it's on every business, on every KiwiSaver account, because every business has to operate in commercial premises.
The tariffs, we talked to Maclay earlier on. How big a winner out of this are we from the States over the weekend?
Well, red meat's our number one export to the US, as you know, and so it's about 30%, up to 25 to 30% of our total. What we sell to the US is back to where it was pre-Liberation Day, which is a really good outcome for our exporters there. There's a massive global shortage of red meat around the world, and it's going to take a while for that livestock to come on around the world, probably up to 2030, 2031. I was down at the Christchurch AMP show on Friday talking to silver fern farmers who sell a lot of stuff into America, and obviously this just helps these guys big time.
You get caught in the hail on Friday?
I didn't actually. No, I didn't.
The races at Rickenham. Yeah. It was unbelievable over the weekend. Anyway, sorry. Elbow claims credit for this. He claims it was his campaigning and lobbying with the White House that got Trump across the line. Do you believe that?
I wouldn't want to cast aspersions on Elbow, but I think US trade policies are somewhat mercurial at the moment. So I think it was a reality where there is just not enough supply in the US. If you think about the New Zealand beef we sell, it's very high quality into the US. Often the US beef's a lower quality. They often mix it up between the two. So, I think it's a domestic reality in the US. You've seen inflation and prices on red meat in the US go anywhere from 25 to 32%. So it's just common sense, actually.
We are committed, you state, to net zero.
Yep.
As we watch the coalition fall apart in Australia as they dump net zero. You got Watts in South America at the moment. For what purpose, given that we're not going to get there?
Well, we are going to get to net zero 2050, no doubt about that.
You believe that in your heart
I do, actually.
Of hearts?
Yeah, because when you look at our particular emissions mix, half of it's in agriculture, but the other half's in CO2, 30% in manufacturing, 20% in transport. And when you look at the innovation pipeline, genuinely, I've looked at this really closely, say on the agricultural side, the emissions side, we have some incredible inventions and technology that's coming. We've put $450 million into this agri-zero stuff. And there's we just need one of those things to come off, and we can increase production and productivity of the farming sector and also meet our emissions targets. So, we solve this through technology, and the technology is not just bumper stickers, it's real projects out there.
And yet Watts says before he goes to South America that you guys may well pull the trigger on buying credits internationally, which means you only do that if you're not doing it yourself.
Well, we ain't going to send, I'll reassure everybody, we ain't sending billions of dollars overseas. We are going to do everything we can. You've seen us align a lot of our thinking to our domestic targets, the things that we can control. We made some changes to the ETS recently, where our NDC2 targets align with our domestic targets. That's exactly as it should be.
So if you can't do it that way, would you buy credits?
Well, we will give it a good go. You're talking about the NDC 2030 target? Yeah. We're going to give it a good go.
But in giving it a good go and failing and falling and still being committed to net zero,
well, what I'm not going to do, just so we're crystal clear, I'm not going to take one is I don't think New Zealand coming out of Paris is a good idea because we lose a huge amount we get damaged badly from competitor countries and from big, large multinationals. The second thing is that we've made a commitment very clearly is that we're not putting agricultural pricing into place. We're not going to move farmers out of New Zealand into Chile or any other country on earth, it's worse. Our farmers are the most productive and the most carbon efficient. So we're not moving jobs out of this country, because every time we do, we're not going to punish farmers as a result of doing that, which is what the last lot wanted to do. So we will do everything we can to hit that target, and if we don't hit the target, then so be it. We roll into NDC 2035, which is aligned with our international target, domestic targets.
Would you concede the tide is starting to go out on the argument in general, globally?
Well, I think there's so many targets, Mike, and the frustration is essentially Ardern and Shaw went off internationally and disconnected the international commitments, essentially, I think, from the domestic commitments. Our domestic commitment, we enshrined in legislation, had full support across the Parliament for 2050. We're on track to deliver net zero 2050. Some of the reports could say you might even get there 4, 5, 6 years early. And we've done practical common sense things to make sure that we're on track with that. You've seen us align our the next Paris commitment is NDC 2035. That is now on the same track as our 2050 domestic target, and that's smart. And so I think we're doing, I don't have any intention whatsoever of coming off the 2050 target, like I've seen the Australian Coalition announce last week. Because we can do that.
No, okay. ACO, Mike Burgess, did you see what he said last week about China?
No.
Let me read it. And when they penetrated your networks, he refers to China, when they penetrated your networks, they actively and aggressively map your systems and seek to maintain persistent, undetected access that enables them to conduct sabotage at a time and moment of their choosing. And he says that moment is now. His reference was to Five Eyes partners, so not only Australia but us as well. Are you aware of that?
Yeah, we're very aware of high levels of foreign interference.
Why aren't you telling us this? Why is he telling me this through the Australian media and we aren't?
Well, we are actually. If you look at the statements from our intelligence agency chiefs, we've been talking more and more transparently and more openly about this. When there's been an attack on our parliamentary systems, I was the first Prime Minister to call it out. And I've said to President Xi and Premier Li, we will continue to call these things out publicly or privately.
So they're in now, and they're able to sabotage us at their choosing. Well, what he says is correct.
Well, no, I'm not saying I agree with that. I'm just saying to you, I agree that there is massive levels of foreign interference, levels that we haven't seen before. I can reassure you that we are doing everything we can to make sure we toughen up our defences. Where we see it, we call it out. You're seeing us get sensitive about the Cook Islands because we have security and intelligence responsibilities there. You're seeing us, there are some amazing technology companies. I was actually at one last week, Starboard, that are actually mapping things like undersea cables and mapping ships and areas around undersea cables. There's a whole bunch of smart stuff that's now going on. We're taking this really seriously. I think we've been way too complacent, but since we came to power, that's been one of the big focus areas for me as Minister of Intelligence.
So where's the SIS in this? Because it struck me that this guy made headlines in Australia, and good on him for doing so, and he seems to be one of those blokes who comes out very publicly and says, here are the issues we're facing. But when he involves Five Eyes, i.e. us,
yes,
where are we? Why aren't we saying the same thing? Why aren't the headlines all over the place? Why aren't you telling us what's going on?
I've seen what our heads of SIS and GCSB have said publicly, and they've been very, very straight up about it as well. And I think I don't know why it's not reported on as much as it may be in Australia, but I can tell you at the time, certainly the gallery and people understood that these guys were talking about things in different ways.
The Waitangi pushback from schools. There's a couple of hundred schools now. This is the board direction. So a couple of hundred schools are basically telling you to naff off. Are you running the country, or are the schools running the country?
Well, we are, and we're making it very clear to boards. Your number one priority is get your kids to school and teach them the basics brilliantly. I do not care about anything else. That is what you have to be doing. That is job number one. We are in such a parlous state around attendance and academic achievement. And I'm really passionate about this. This is sort of one of my motivations for coming into politics, was that how on earth do you call yourself a first world country if you can't have over half your kids not going to school regularly, which is what we started
Couldn't agree
with.
more. And yet,
when you got
the first thing, and I mean, the teachers is a different story on the curriculum, but the first thing the boards do, 200 of them, is go, we hear what you say and we're not going to do it. I mean, what does it tell you about?
Well, we've got 2,500 schools, but it just says that's what parents should be pushing those boards damn hard on, because I'm assuming then they've got outstanding academic achievement, outstanding attendance records. That is what they have to be focused on.
It's what you're up against, though, isn't it? There is a mindset in this country that people will die on a hill over race as opposed to educating the kids
It's
properly.
just the wrong conversation to be having. We're talking about our kids and their future and their ability to access high-paying jobs. There is a heap of them out there in the world. We're really serious about it. You ask why Australia is 35% wealthier than New Zealand, why Singapore is now twice as wealthy, Ireland's twice as wealthy. We have to get better educated. And so, the boards need to wake up. They need to get very, very focused on their core challenge and task, which is to hold that school team accountable and leadership team accountable for delivering attendance and academic achievement, period.
Appreciate your time. Christopher Luxon, Prime Minister, 13 to 8.